Welcome. Today, we're diving into an incredible journey through the Bible to explore the powerful role of fasting. From the Old Testament to the New, fasting has been a profound spiritual discipline used to seek God's guidance, express repentance, and strengthen faith. Stay with us as we uncover the significance and spiritual meaning behind this timeless practice. Fasting has been a significant spiritual practice throughout biblical history, serving as a means of seeking God's guidance, expressing repentance, and deepening one's relationship with the divine. The Bible presents fasting as more than mere abstinence from food. It is a profound spiritual discipline that aligns believers with God's will and fosters spiritual growth. In the Old Testament, fasting was commonly practiced during times of distress, repentance, and seeking divine intervention. One of the earliest recorded fasts is found in the book of Judges, where the Israelites fasted and sought God's guidance during a time of war. Judges 20:26. This act demonstrated their dependence on God and their humility before Him. The Day of Atonement Yom Kippur was the only fast mandated by the Mosaic Law Leviticus 16:29-31. On this sacred day, the Israelites were commanded to afflict their souls, which included fasting as a way to express remorse for their sins and seek atonement from God. This annual observance underscored the significance of fasting as an essential part of repentance and reconciliation with God. Fasting was also a response to national crises. In the book of Esther, Queen Esther called for a 3-day fast among the Jews in response to the threat of extermination. Esther 4:16. Similarly, the people of Nineveh fasted in response to Jonah's warning of impending judgment, demonstrating their repentance and desire for God's mercy. Jonah 3:5-10. Additionally, individuals such as King David practiced fasting as an expression of personal grief and repentance. In Psalm 35:13, David describes fasting in times of affliction, showing his earnestness in seeking God's favor and healing. In the New Testament, fasting continued to play a crucial role in the spiritual lives of believers. Jesus himself fasted for 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness before beginning his public ministry. Matthew 4:1-2. This period of fasting was a time of preparation, testing, and communion with God. Jesus' example highlighted the importance of fasting as a means of drawing closer to God and gaining spiritual strength. Jesus also taught about fasting in the Sermon on the Mount, emphasizing the importance of fasting with the right motives. He instructed his followers to fast in secret, without seeking public recognition, to ensure their fasting was genuine and directed towards God. Matthew 6:16-18. The early church practiced fasting regularly as part of their spiritual routine and decision-making processes. In Acts 13:2-3, the believers in Antioch fasted and prayed before commissioning Barnabas and Saul for their missionary work. This illustrates how fasting was used to seek divine guidance and confirmation. Fasting holds deep spiritual significance in both the Old and New Testaments. It is an act of humility, submission, and dependence on God. Several key spiritual meanings can be derived from biblical fasting. Many biblical accounts of fasting involve seeking God's direction in critical moments. Whether it was the Israelites facing battle or the early church commissioning missionaries, fasting was a way to attune one's heart and mind to God's will. Fasting often accompanied heartfelt repentance and the confession of sins. It was a way to demonstrate sincere remorse and a desire for forgiveness, as seen in the examples of the Ninevites and King David. Jesus' 40-day fast in the wilderness illustrates the power of fasting in overcoming spiritual challenges and temptations. Fasting can help believers focus on God and rely on His strength in times of spiritual warfare. Fasting was frequently practiced in times of mourning and distress. It allowed individuals to express their sorrow and dependence on God's comfort and healing. Fasting creates an opportunity to spend focused time with God, free from distractions. It helps believers develop spiritual discipline and cultivate a deeper relationship with the Lord. The Bible presents various types of fasting, each serving different purposes and spiritual needs. Absolute fast. This involves abstaining from both food and water for a specific period, as seen in Esther's fast Esther 4:16 and Paul's fast after his encounter with Jesus Acts 9:9. Partial fast. In this type of fast, individuals abstain from specific foods or meals. Daniel and his companions practiced a partial fast by consuming only vegetables and water. Daniel 1:12. Corporate fast, a communal act of fasting, often called by leaders for national repentance or divine intervention, as seen in Joel 2:15 and 2 Chronicles 20:3. Private fast, personal fasting done in secret, as encouraged by Jesus, focusing on spiritual growth and intimacy with God. Matthew 6:16-18. Fasting has been an integral part of Christian spiritual practices for centuries, and while cultural contexts have shifted, its spiritual significance remains profoundly relevant. Modern Christians can embrace fasting as a meaningful discipline that deepens their faith and strengthens their connection with God. Fasting offers a dedicated time to engage in focused prayer and meditation, allowing believers to seek God's guidance and clarity in decision-making. By abstaining from physical nourishment, individuals can redirect their attention to spiritual sustenance, fostering a deeper relationship with God. Many believers turn to fasting as a means of overcoming personal struggles, addictions, or negative habits. It serves as a way to rely on God's strength for transformation and renewal. Through fasting, individuals can experience breakthrough in areas where they feel spiritually or emotionally stuck. Fasting can be a powerful tool for intercessory prayer, enabling believers to lift up loved ones, communities, or even entire nations in need of divine intervention. It demonstrates a heartfelt commitment to standing in the gap for others and seeking God's mercy and provision on their behalf. Periodic fasting allows believers to refocus their spiritual priorities and rekindle their passion for God. It provides a sacred pause to reflect on one's spiritual journey, seek forgiveness, and realign with God's purpose. Incorporating fasting into modern Christian life can bring profound spiritual benefits, helping believers cultivate discipline, deepen their faith, and experience God's transformative power in new and meaningful ways. Fasting is a spiritual discipline that holds significant importance in the Bible, but it comes with clear warnings about the motives behind it. In Isaiah 58, God strongly rebukes the Israelites for their superficial approach to fasting. Despite their religious observance, they lacked genuine repentance and compassion for others. God emphasizes that true fasting should not merely be an outward ritual, but must be accompanied by acts of justice, mercy, and humility. He calls for a fasting that leads to breaking the chains of injustice, feeding the hungry, and providing for the oppressed. This passage underscores that fasting without a heart transformation and concern for others is meaningless in God's eyes. Similarly, in the New Testament, Jesus addresses the issue of hypocritical fasting. In Matthew 6:16-18, he warns believers not to fast for public recognition or human approval. Jesus highlights that true fasting should be done in humility and secrecy, focusing on one's relationship with God rather than seeking praise from others. He instructs his followers to anoint their heads and wash their faces while fasting, ensuring that their devotion remains between them and God alone. Both Isaiah's message and Jesus' teaching serve as reminders that fasting is not about mere self-denial, but about drawing closer to God with sincerity and love for others. True fasting involves aligning our hearts with God's will, seeking spiritual renewal, and demonstrating compassion and righteousness in our daily lives. Fasting in biblical times was a profound spiritual discipline that served various purposes, including seeking God's guidance, expressing repentance, and drawing closer to Him. It was practiced by individuals and communities alike, demonstrating humility and dependence on God. The spiritual principles behind fasting remain timeless, offering believers a powerful means to deepen their faith, seek divine intervention, and cultivate a closer relationship with God. Whether practiced individually or corporately, fasting continues to be a meaningful and transformative aspect of the Christian walk. Thank you for joining us on this insightful exploration of fasting in biblical times and its spiritual meaning. We hope this has inspired you to deepen your faith and consider how fasting can play a meaningful role in your spiritual journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more biblical insights. Until next time, stay blessed and stay faithful.